Chessboxing sounds like something someone made up after losing an argument about which requires more skill, brains, or strength. Surprisingly, it's a real sport, and it's exactly what the name suggests. Competitors alternate between rounds of boxing and chess. A match begins with 4 minutes of chess followed by 3 minutes of boxing, and this continues until someone wins by checkmate, knockout, or if their opponent runs out of time on the chess clock. So it's entirely possible to dominate the boxing rounds then lose because you overlooked a single move on the board. The opposite can happen too. A brilliant chess player might never get the chance to finish the game if they can't survive the punches. The idea actually came from a 1992 graphic novel by French comic artist Enki Bilal. Years later, Dutch performance artist Ipi Rubing thought it was too interesting to stay fictional, so he turned it into a real sport and organized the first official match in 2003. Most sports test either your body or your mind. Chessboxing forces you to switch between both in a matter of minutes. It's one of the only competitions where taking a punch to the face is immediately followed by calculating your next move. Cheese rolling. Every year in England, hundreds of people willingly throw themselves down an incredibly steep hill, all for a wheel of cheese. The event takes place at Cooper's Hill, where a large wheel of double Gloucester cheese is sent rolling downhill. So the competitors chase after it, but that's easier said than done. The hill is so steep that once people start running, many lose control almost instantly. Instead of a race, it usually turns into a chaotic avalanche of people tumbling, flipping, and crashing all the way to the bottom. Broken bones, sprained ankles, and dislocated shoulders aren't unusual. And despite the risks, people travel from all over the world just to take part. The funny part is that almost nobody actually catches the cheese. It can reach speeds of over 70 miles per hour, making it nearly impossible to outrun. The winner is simply the first person to cross the finish line at the bottom of the hill. Nobody knows exactly when cheese rolling began, but records go back well over 200 years, and some historians believe the tradition could be even older. Whatever its origin, it somehow survived long enough to become one of the world's strangest and most dangerous sporting events. Wife carrying. Despite the name, you don't actually need to be married to compete. The person you're carrying doesn't even have to be your wife. The sport comes from Finland, where teams race through an obstacle course while one competitor carries the other on their back. Along the way, they have to splash through water, climb over hurdles, and keep their balance without dropping their partner. If they do, they receive a time penalty before continuing the race. There are several ways to carry your teammate, but the most popular is the Estonian carry. That's where the person being carried hangs upside down with their legs wrapped around the carrier's shoulders, holding onto their waist. It looks incredibly awkward, but it's surprisingly stable and has become the preferred technique among experienced competitors. According to local legend, the sport was inspired by a 19th century bandit named Herko Rusvarankainen, whose gang supposedly proved their strength by carrying heavy sacks or even kidnapped women while escaping through the forest. Whether that story is completely true is still debated, but the modern version is thankfully much friendlier. Today, competitors from around the world race for fun, bragging rights, and in some competitions, a prize equal to the weight of the person they carried in beer. Bog Snorkeling. Most swimming races happen in clear pools or open water. This one takes place in a muddy ditch. Every year in Wales, competitors put on a snorkel mask and flippers before jumping into a narrow trench carved through a peat bog. The goal isn't to swim as fast as possible. It's to get from one end of the trench to the other and back in the shortest time. There's just one catch. Traditional swimming strokes aren't allowed. Since your face has to stay underwater, the only way to move is by kicking with your flippers, while pulling yourself through the murky water. If that already sounds unpleasant, the water usually isn't much better. It's cold, dark, filled with mud, and often so cloudy that you can't even see the person swimming right in front of you. The World Bog Snorkeling Championships have been held every year since 1985 in the small Welsh town of Llanwrtyd Wells. What started as a friendly challenge between locals has grown into an international event, with competitors traveling from around the world just to race through what is essentially a long, muddy drainage ditch. Somehow, that's enough to turn it into a legitimate sport. Sepak Takraw. Imagine volleyball, except you're not allowed to use your hands. Instead, players use their feet, knees, chest, and head to keep a small woven ball in the air while trying to send it over a net. The rules are similar to volleyball, but the way it's played looks completely different. Instead of jumping to spike the ball with their hands, players launch themselves into the air and perform bicycle kicks, spinning mid-air before smashing the ball back to the other side. At first glance, it almost looks choreographed. The speed, balance, and flexibility needed to play at a professional level are so impressive that many first-time viewers assume they're watching a martial arts demonstration rather than a sport. Sepak Takraw has been played across Southeast Asia for centuries, with modern rules becoming standardized in the 20th century. Today, it's especially popular in countries like Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, where national teams compete in international tournaments and packed arenas. Despite being one of the most athletic sports in the world, many people outside Asia have never even heard of it. And once you watch a professional rally, it's hard to believe people can do all of that without using their hands even once. Extreme ironing. Most people try to finish ironing their clothes as quickly as possible. Extreme ironing asks a much stranger question. What if you did it on the side of a mountain instead? The sport combines one of the world's most boring household chores with some of its most dangerous outdoor activities. Competitors bring a real ironing board, a real iron, a piece of clothing, to places where absolutely nobody would ever think to iron. People have done it while rock climbing, kayaking, skiing, scuba diving, skydiving, and even hanging from the side of a cliff. It started in England in the late 1990s, when a man named Phil Shaw supposedly came home from work, looked at a pile of wrinkled clothes, and decided he'd rather take his ironing board outside than stay indoors. Whether that story is completely true or not, the idea caught on, and before long, people around the world were trying to outdo each other by ironing in increasingly ridiculous locations. Unlike most sports, the challenge isn't really about winning. It's about proving you can make one of the most ordinary chores look completely absurd. Somehow, that was enough to inspire international competitions and a surprisingly dedicated community of extreme ironers. Shin-kicking. Some sports require years of strategy or precision. This one only asks one question: whose shins hurt less? The rules are almost unbelievably simple. Two competitors stand face to face, grab onto each other's shoulders, and take turns trying to kick each other directly in the shins. The goal is to knock your opponent to the ground or make them give up from the pain. There are no fancy techniques, no complicated scoring system, and definitely no comfortable way to play. The sport has been part of the Cotswold Olympics in England for hundreds of years, with records dating back to the early 1600s. In the past, competitors even stuffed straw into their trousers to soften the blows, though modern events have stricter rules about protective gear to reduce the risk of serious injuries. As ridiculous as it sounds, shin-kicking isn't treated as a joke by the people who compete. It's a tradition that's been passed down for generations and still attracts crowds every year. Watching two adults willingly kick each other in the legs until someone falls over might sound bizarre, but for the competitors, it's simply another day at the games. Underwater hockey. It looks exactly like it sounds. Two teams play hockey at the bottom of a swimming pool while holding their breath. Instead of skates and full-size hockey sticks, players wear snorkels, masks, fins, and use a short stick to push a weighted puck across the pool floor. Since there's no way to breathe underwater, players have to constantly dive down, make a few quick passes or challenge for the puck, then swim back to the surface before running out of air. Meanwhile, another teammate dives down to continue the play, creating a non-stop rotation that keeps the game moving. The sport was invented in England during the 1950s by a diving club looking for a way to keep members active between diving seasons. What started as a training exercise eventually spread around the world, and today, international tournaments are held with teams from dozens of countries competing at an elite level. Watching it for the first time almost feels unreal. There are no crowds of players chasing the puck above the water, no commentators shouting every play, and barely any sound at all. Just two teams silently battling across the bottom of a pool in one of the most unusual sports ever created. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow so we can reach more audience and have more people learn about things in life. Have a great day, and see you on the next one.